The story comes to us from Renault.com. And this one is another case from the melee that happened January 6, 2021. They're still prosecuting people. Over 2 years later. No, over a year and a half later. Let me go on. Federal prosecutors are seeking an 8-year prison sentence for former Rocky Mount police officer, arguing that he abused his position of public trust when he joined a mob that stormed the Capitol. Now, Thomas T.J. Robertson, who was convicted by a jury in Washington, D.C.'s federal court in April, is scheduled to be sentenced next Thursday. Again, the prosecutors are asking for 8 years. Assistant U.S. Attorneys Elizabeth Eloy and Risa Berkauer wrote in sentencing memorandum, instead of using his training and power to promote the public good, he attempted to overthrow the government. Now, some people may disagree with that. I've heard some people say it wasn't an insurrection, it was a protest. Well, we're going to go through that. The two assistant U.S. attorneys said of T.J. Robertson, who was off duty at the time, despite having held himself out as a public servant and a patriot, the defendant has demonstrated again and again that he believes himself to be fully above the law. Well, a lot of cops are like that, right? A lot of them are. A lot of them are like, well, I have a badge and I have a uniform and I'm certified. So I'm authority. I tell you what to do and you do it or I arrest you. A lot of them think they're above the law simply because they have a badge and they have authority. That doesn't make you above the law. That means you enforce broken laws, you see. Not just anybody on the street. Broken laws. Okay? This isn't Berlin, East Berlin in 1948, okay? If U.S. District Judge Christopher Cooper follows the government's recommendation, the sentence would be the longest so far of the hundreds, and you're going to hear how many, of Capitol riot cases. Some of you would go, wasn't a riot, it was a protest. But I just love it. A Texas man was recently sentenced to 7 years and 3 months, and that was 2 years more than the previously longest term imposed in an investigation that has led to more than 800 people from across the United States being charged with participating in the melee, which were described by Eloy and Berkauer as a grave danger to our democracy. It wasn't peacefully protesting. Oh, okay, they were redressing grievances. I don't know. But the 7 years and 3 months that Guy Reffitt was sentenced to was less than half the 15-year prison term that was asked for by federal prosecutors. So, wow, they were asking for a long term, and the judge said, I'm only going to give him 7 months, 7 years. Last week, T.J. Robertson wrote a letter to Judge Cooper, in which he said his shameful actions were the result of stress, drinking, and listen to this, being exposed to large amounts of news and social media reports of claims by former President Donald Trump of a stolen election. Okay? This guy's blaming it on news and social media that he was what? Propagandized? Brainwashed? Indoctrinated? I don't know what. This guy said, the news and social media, I was exposed to it, and I said, oh my God, they stole the election. We've got to get our country back. That's what he's saying, really, in essence. And stress and drinking. So he admits, I was drunk. Well, that's your first problem right there. Stress over what? I don't know. You're a cop. They're always stressed out, I guess. And exposed to large amounts of news. I can't get over that. How many think it could be true that the news, and we're talking mainstream media here, Fox, CNN, Headline News, MSNBC, all these major news entities are exposing people to the point where they're becoming indoctrinated or even brainwashed to think a certain way. Maybe that's what I'm doing with a new channel name here. I'm trying to get all of you. Maybe I should have called it Jimmy's Fox Media. No, we're nothing like Fox, I don't think. Are we? Moving on, I digress. But, that's sometimes I've heard that argument where people say, oh, the news is trying to sway us. The news is trying to push an agenda. And that's what this guy is saying. He was exposed to it, and it forced him to just go where he had to take the country back. Storm the Capitol. So immediately before the Capitol was stormed, T.J. Robertson had attended a rally in which Trump urged a large crowd of supporters to fight like hell. Well, he didn't say storm the Capitol. He just said fight like hell. That could go in a lot of different directions. It could mean just, look, protest peacefully in the streets, write petitions. He didn't say go storm the U.S. Capitol. Defense attorneys asked for a 15-month term for Robertson, 15 months, who has been held without bond for the last 13 months. They wanted to give this guy 2 more months. What they ended up getting was, that's a cherry picker outside. You probably hear it. But what they really got was 8 years. 8-year sentence is what he's looking at. And he'll be sentenced next Thursday. So, defense attorneys want 15 months and prosecutors are going, we want 8 years. It's a lot longer. I can't believe they asked for 15 months. Are they stupid? He needs new defense attorneys, right? No, he had the right at defense attorneys. Give him 8 years.